those who try to connect to this, those who don't have access to. Or okay, leave it. Don't. Because I think it will become, suppose it doesn't work. We'll have the exam when we are having tomorrow.
Yes.
Tomorrow we have class.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll have tomorrow. Don't leave. Okay. We'll have the class. We will discuss the early, Buddhist philosophy, which has its what we call in the early Buddhism. Buddhist philosophy gets divided into two. One is generally in philosophical system they get divided into two. One is called Sravakayana and another is Mahayana. Sravakayana, I think that's actually I'm trying to transfer or file from. So Sravakayana and Mahayana. Sravakayana is a tradition which is accepted by all Buddhists, everybody, be people from Tibet or China, Japan, Sri Lanka, Myanmar. Everybody accepts Sravakayana. Why? There are certain sutras or certain texts which are not accepted by Sravakayana people. Everything is like there are Buddhism gets broadly divided into two. Sravakayana, Mahayana. Sravakayana teachings are accepted by everybody. While there are certain this is general division. This is also sometimes called Hinayana. Hin generally it means literal meaning is small or lesser. Yan means the vehicle. Yan, the vehicle or the path. In Hindi, modern day Hindi or modern day English, Hin means inferior or a smaller. So nowadays people avoid this from calling Sravakayana as Hinayana. Hin means in Hindi, in modern day Indian language, Hin means inferior. So instead of calling inferior, and in fact this term was used not by Buddhists themselves. The other Indians who especially the Nayayika, when they started writing about Buddhist philosophy, they used this term, Hinayana. So Buddhists themselves, they did not use this term. So Buddhists themselves, they used the Sravakayana term. Sravaka. It means hear. So Sravakayana is also called the path of hearer. Hear. To listen. So Yana means vehicle. Vehicle. So path of hearers or vehicle of hearers. Here means when you listen something. It is the term hearer means those people so Hinayana, Sravakayana. Okay. Another important thing, don't confuse this Sravakayana with Theravada. This is a general misnomer. Mostly people, or it is taught in the universities, even on the internet sources, you will come across that Theravada Mahayana. Theravada Mahayana. These are used in, say, in binary or opposites. That okay, there are Theravada and Mahayana. Although don't argue with somebody who is, saying this, but at a higher level or at a, this level of this class, you should be aware that Theravada does not mean necessarily the Hinayana. Theravada is a monastic tradition which originates from Sthavirvada. Theravada. Everybody have heard this term? Anybody who is hearing Theravada, the term for the first time? Theravada. Anybody who is listening this term for the first time? Everybody knows Theravada. So Theravada, generally, when Buddhism got rediscovered in India, or in the Asian region by Western scholars. Already Buddhism was there in the China, Sri Lanka, many places. Mainland of India, it was not there. So when the Britishers, the Westerners, they discovered Buddhism. So they created history of Buddhism, which is very problematic. Unfortunately, it is taught the way it is taught in the university, or it is available on the internet sources. It's problematic. It does not give you a holistic picture. And mostly it is represented Theravada versus Mahayana. Theravada is against Mahayana, which is wrong idea. Theravada, the term comes from Sthavirvada. Here means the elder. Those who are eight. Sthavir means who were very stable. If you remember Jaina philosophy, there is Sthavara and Strasa. You remember Sthavara means those who don't move, those who are firm, immovable. So here Sthavir means those who are immovable in their morality. So monks, the tradition of monks, those who are they don't move. You can't move their morality. That is the idea of why this term is coming. Their morality is very strong. So Sthavir means immovable. So immovable, that does not mean those who don't move actually. Your morality is very stable. They can't move. You can't move. So from there this term is coming. Here does not mean Sthavir actually. Here means elder now. Elder or senior. Theravada. Theravada, this term was never used in India. This is again new thing. Theravada, this term is not Indian term. It's a Sanskrit term by the way. But this term in context of school of Buddhism was not used. So this was a Sri Lankan term coined in 4th century. Only 4th century onwards, that means almost 1000 years after Buddha. These are the new things I am telling. Nobody will, you won't find these things in internet. Just for your knowledge, I am telling. In order to distinguish why this Sravakena is more important. Not here. So 4th century it was coined in Sri Lanka. Only in Sri Lanka this term started getting popularized. This tradition starts getting popularized. Indian text, Indian master, Indian Buddhist, ancient when Buddhism was there, they did not use this term. They used Sravakena. Indian Buddhist masters of ancient India, they used Sravakena term. They never used Theravada term. Are you getting this? Sravakena. Sravakena. Shravan. That means to hear. So literally means hearers. The vehicles of hearers, which means those who heard Buddha's teaching. Now Buddha's teaching are put historical Buddha, because there are Buddha's teaching which are divine teachings as well. Buddha, what he taught amongst the people, but he taught certain things to higher realms as well. So those who believe only in certain teachings which were taught on the earth, they are called Sravaka or Sravakena. While Mahayana Sutras, Maha means big. Maha means big. Yana is again vehicle. So there was a group of people who heard some teachings of Buddha on a, say, divine level. So historically, in the history of Buddhism, there were some sutras, some texts, to which everybody, all Buddhists, they agreed. But there were some sutras to which everybody did not agree. For example, say, Lotus Sutra, Heart Sutra. Have you heard this name? Tamil Sutra. Lankavatara Sutra. Dasabhumit Sutra. 10 stages of 10 rounds. There are many, hundreds, thousands of such sutras are there, which are not agreed by everybody. For example, Sri Lanka, those who belong to Sri Lankan tradition or Myanmar tradition, they have respect, but traditionally they don't agree that Buddha taught this sutras. Lankavatara Sutra, Lotus Sutra, Heart Sutra. So there are certain group of sutra which are exclusive. Exclusive means not agreed by all the Buddhists. So that is what makes a difference. Those who believe in certain sutras which have divine origin, but later. So these some sutras were not popular during first 200-300 years when Buddha was there. They became popular after 200-300 years. So when those sutras came, there were some group of Buddhist monks. They said no, these sutras are not original. They were not originally taught by the Buddha. So some group of monks they believe, or group of Buddhist people they believe, some did not. So there were these two types of differences. This is happening almost 300-400 years after Buddha, at least 400-500. Nagarjuna was one of the very prominent masters who discovered many Mahayana sutras called Prajnaparamita. Nagarjuna, who discovers many Prajnaparamita sutras. Prajnaparamita. Prajnaparamita means transcendental. Wisdom, Pragya is wisdom. And Heart Sutra, Diamond Sutra, they all fall under this Prajnaparamita Sutra. So Hinayana, Sravakyana both mean same. But don't prefer, like avoid using the term Hinayana. But you will find older text Hinayana term is also used. Sravakyana has certain sutras, Mahayana has certain more sutras. In addition to Sravakyana, these are Mahayana sutras are additional. So while Mahayana people they believe all sutra of Sravakyana but also Mahayana. Sravakyana people don't believe in Mahayana sutras. Okay? Mahayana people they say that Mahayana sutras now sutras are grouped into two sets, Sravakyana and Mahayana. Sravakyana, according to Mahayana scholars or Mahayana people, Mahayana is higher teaching than Sravakyana. This is very clear. Those who believe in Mahayana sutras, they say Mahayana teaching is higher than Sravakyana. Okay? Those who believe in Mahayana, while those who don't believe in Mahayana, they say that they say that this is not at all teaching of Buddha, so forget about higher or lower. Even if it is higher, we don't care. We care only for the Sravakyana teachings. Mahayana is non-dualist. In philosophy, non-dualism means non-dualism. That what is dualism and what is non-dualism? Anybody who would like to answer? We discussed in Vedic philosophy as well that there are two types of philosophy: dualism and non-dualism. What is non-dualism?
Dualism is a painter, non-dualism is a dancer.
When they are defining God or creator God, so then you think that okay, this pen and or this world has a creator, so creator gets separated from the creation. That's a dualism. Here, there is no God, so we have to discuss in the context of metaphysics. Metaphysics, how the world exists. Metaphysics means how the world exists. So, in that context, non-dualism. In non-dualism, okay, first let us discuss dualism. If you understand dualism, more easy to understand non-dualism. In dualism, there is a you subject and there is an object. There is a world and there is a God separate from the world. Right? A table and you, or me and you, we are different. We are two. So dual means two. They believe in these two separate, totally independent two. That means I am different from you. This table is different from this table and me. That is non-dualism. Sorry, that is dualism. Okay? Dualistic means two. So dualism means the material reality or the objective reality, the outside reality is different from subjective reality. our day-to-day experience. In our day-to-day experience, we live in dualism, dualistic. We don't feel, I don't feel that me and you we both are exactly the same, or this table and me, we both are same. Anybody who has that type of realization in this class? Generally speaking, at least I don't have that type of realization. But according to Mahayana and non-dualist philosophy, objective reality and subjective reality, they are not two. Don't say one, because it is said advaita, not two. It is not say one, because if you say one, it's a problematic term for Buddhists especially, because it will lead to absolutism. So Buddhists use this advaita. Hindu also use that. Advaita, a non-dual. Don't say because that is why non-dualism term is used, not monoism. Mono means one. We never say monoism means non-dualism.
There are no two, but there is no one.
Let us don't say that one. Let us say these two things are not two. For example, just think about your dream. The moment you think about your dream, you live in a non-dual reality. Because in dream you create your dream, everything, and in that you see a ghost, and you are running away from that ghost, nightmare. Or you see something very bad, or all good, and you think that is intrinsically, it's objectively, from its own side. In dream you think, oh, there is a bad something which is intrinsically bad, but it's when you wake up you realize that it's all, it's not true. In dream, subject, your mind, and the content of your mind, they are separate. That is why you have nightmares, you feel okay. But the moment you get awakened, you say, it was not true, it was just my mind. Like the objective reality which you see in dream is not different from you. Right? The objective reality which you dream, in dream you see something, no? Suppose you are dreaming in this classroom, right? Right now, suppose you think this classroom is not happening actually, you are dreaming that there is a sir has come, and you are dreaming you are sleeping yesterday. You are not yet awakened, you are sleeping, you are still in your posture, and you think that okay, sir is there and he is teaching in a class. Okay. Just now imagine that this class is happening. Then, if it is happening in the dream, this class, who am I? Who is this person? It's just figment of your imagination. It's part of your mind. Your mind has projected this class, and it has projected there is just a teacher. If this class is happening in a dream, in your dream, let us say, in your dream this class is happening, then who is this person? I'm not talking about you, I'm talking about the objective world, this table. It's not different from you, the dreamer. Objective reality is not different from the subject or the person who looks at it. So in that context, it's non-dual. Are you getting? Why in dualism this matter is separate from you? Suppose now just don't think that this class is happening in a dream. Think that class is happening the way right now it is happening. Then this table is not you. I'm not your imagination, your dream. I'm a separate person. So in non-dualism and dualism, this is how the difference is. So Sravakayana teachings, they discuss about in context of dualism, while Mahayana non-dualism. This is a general, whenever we discuss this metaphysics, epistemology, and ethics. Ethics-wise, both Sravakayana and Mahayana ethics are same, but Mahayana defines a higher sort of ethics, which is not there in the Sravakayana teaching, which we will discuss. That metaphysics wise, they both believe in the objective reality and subjective reality. But metaphysics wise, Mahayana says that finally this reality is not two. The matter and the mind, the subject and objective reality, they are not two. They are same. They are not different.
At the one.
For a very gross understanding, you can say it's one. But philosophically, Buddhists would not use that one term. So, philosophically, this is how the difference is. So, in Buddhism, Buddhist philosophy, these Mahayana people, they reached that duality is not, duality is, like the objective and subjective duality is not real, it's false. So they, in order to for this objective reality is illusion, they reach through stages. Now, there are different schools of philosophy. It's not directly you jump to Mahayana. Even in Mahayana countries also, those who believe in Mahayana philosophy, even them, in those countries all Sravakyana system is taught.
Foundation.
Yes, that's a foundation.
When were the suttas in Shravakyana written or translated and when in Mahayana?
Translated or compiled, let us say.
It's just
Remember, the sutras in Indian context never use this term sutra got written. Written means I am writing a book. Somebody has written this book. So this book is written in 2024, like a new book. In Buddhism, in Jainism, in Hindu tradition, books are not written. They are compiled. Compiled. Compiled means the writing system was not popular in India for, for at least when Buddha was there, and at least for first 500 years, there was no writing of the books. First time the books, Buddhist, even Sravakyana Sutras, they got written in Sri Lanka for the first time, not in India. So, writing system, so people memorized it. All Hindu Vedas, they were never ever written. All through memory. That is why this term is coming, hearers. They heard and tried to memorize it, they did not write it. So, when we say writing, that means taking a written form. That does not mean that the term, why I am saying don't use this term writing, because when you say that, oh, this Mahayana Sutra, especially that comes from for Mahayana Sutra, was written in 2nd century. Say, let us say, Sutra written in 2nd century before Christ. So the reader might get confused that maybe the sutra was not actually taught by Buddha, somebody wrote it. You get it? Suppose I say that Mahayana Sutra, say Prajnaparamita Sutra, were written in 2nd century BC. So 2nd century BC, 300 years after. So if I say just write Mahayana Sutra, but Heart Sutra was written in 2nd century BC. This is what in the book mostly you find. Heart Sutra was written in 2nd century BC. Okay? If you read that statement, just the statement like that, you will get to feel that this was written, somebody wrote it. Some Buddhist monk wrote it. Buddha did not originally speak it, somebody wrote it. Are you getting this? So don't avoid using this term that it was written, especially related to sutra. Don't use the word. Shastras were written. Like Nagarjuna is writing a Shastra, Mudra Madhyamika Kalika, he is writing, it is his own writing. But sutras are never written by a person. Sutras are compiled by a person. Compiled means he heard, yes, many sutras are still being, huh?
This is what I heard and then.
Yes, that is how all the sutras start. Thus I have heard Evam Maya Sutam, or in Pali Evam Me Sutam. So if the moment you read this, that means it's sutra. So don't say that the sutra got written, because then you won't get holistic picture. You may feel that somebody wrote it and put the name of Buddha. Getting this right. That I am writing, and I am writing that this was written by Buddha, which is a fake sutra. Because if I am writing, then it was not written by originally spoken. So that is why I avoid this term written. For sutra, say it was compiled. If you have a dating for sutra, say it was compiled. Don't say it was written. Are you getting why I am saying this? Because it gives a notion that it is a fake sutra. And mostly Britishers, that is how they have written the history of Buddhism, and it becomes all fake. Mostly the way it is studied or taught, because of this vocabulary, this sutra was written in 2nd century, 4th century, whatever. That gives an idea that it is not original, it was not originally taught by him. Yes.
But I think the question when were Shravakana and Mahayana Sutra compiled?
Got compiled. So Shravakana Sutras, they got compiled, as I said, maybe in oral tradition it existed in India, but orality gets lost unless you have concrete solid code. So it was already the first time it was compiled in the first council. Compiled means not got a written form, but people, they sat down after passing away of the Buddha, in just an year after passing away of the Buddha, and again the dating of Buddha is very problematic. I don't want to confuse you right now, but yes, dating of Buddha is not fixed. Different tradition, they believe in differently, and this date is not a gap of 2 or 10 years. There is a gap of 100 and 200 years. So anyway, but if let us say that 5th century BCE is the time period when Buddha existed. 5th century BCE. BCE, before Common Era. If I am saying 5th century BCE, sister, if I am saying 5th century BCE, 5th century BCE, when Buddha existed, how many years back Buddha existed? I'm asking, Buddha date is 5th century BCE. 5th century? 5th century BCE. Or 500. So 5th century, if I say, that means 500 BCE. BCE means before Common Era. BCE. Sometimes earlier it was written as a AD, Anno Domini. Nowadays historians don't use this AD. It's a religious term, because in order to make the historical writing universal, because this is related to Christ. So nowadays we don't use AD, we use BCE. So before Common Era. Common Era, right now we live in, this is 2024. So this is 2024 CE, Common Era. What is date today? 17th September 2024 CE. That means this is 20. So Common Era has started, and how many years have passed? 2024. These many years have passed. This is actually related to Christ, Jesus Christ. This is how it is called Common Era. So these many 2000. So if I am saying 500 BCE, 500 BCE. So how many years have passed, sister? How many years have passed? If I say 5, Buddha said, let us say Buddha was born in 500 BCE. So how many years have passed?
2007.
2000?
2000. Can you please?
It's very simple. It's simple mathematics. I said 500 BCE. What is CE? 2024. Today is 2024. Same, the present day. Now add 500.
2000.
So 2000. Simple. So if you say, if you come across these, so these many years have passed. Common error, this should be have clarity in your mind. If CE, BCE, so you ask a question. So in order to answer, you should know if I say everybody will not understand. So I'm explaining before I answer a question. Because I have to explain if it's a question related to history, I have to explain in historical terms. So we have to give a date, particular date. So I'll say when the question comes, when Sravakayana Sutra got compiled. So if Buddha's date is 5th, whatever date is. Generally in India we accept Buddha's date according to Sri Lankan tradition. So if you Google birth, year of Buddha, so if you count, it will give Google will give you date something around 563 BCE or 480 BCE. Two dates are there. I just Googled it. You can Google birth year of Buddha. So two dates you will come across. One is 563 BCE. Another date is 480 BCE. This is Sri Lankan tradition, this is Chinese tradition. So two dates. So how many years Buddha before Buddha? Just add 2024. So exact you get exact year. So this is BC. Now when Sravakayana Sutra got compiled, so Buddha died in or Mahaparinirvana date is Buddha lived for 80 years. So add 80 to it. So 483. Sorry. Yeah. Add, so this will become 400 BCE and reduce 80 years in this. So I think 483 will come. So this is year when Buddha was born, this year. Like if you believe Sri Lankan sources. And if you believe Chinese sources. And this is the year when Buddha passed. Okay? 400 BC or 483. So you can see there is a gap of 80, not like it's not 1 or 2 years, it's a big gap. And there are other two more dates also which are more problematic. But anyways. So if I say Sravakayana Sutras were compiled the year in which Buddha passed away. So that means 483 or 400 BCE. It's up to you which tradition you follow. If you follow Sri Lankan tradition, you will follow this. If you follow the Chinese or Sanskrit tradition, you will follow this. If you follow the Pali tradition, this if you follow the Sanskrit tradition. When did Mahayana Sutra got compiled? So there is not just one sutra, there are many sutras. Their all compilation is dated somewhere around 1st century BCE to 1st century CE. It's not a fixed date. So Buddha traveled across various places, and even he traveled, maybe higher. For example, he went for 3 months to teach his mother in heaven. Because Buddha's mother passed away. So he went for 3, and it is believed that he got Abhidharma, Abhidhamma in heaven, not here on the earth. So those types of teachings which were not taught by historical Buddha. Like Buddha on the earth, let us say historical Buddha, but at least not on the earth. Or there are previous Buddhas also. Ye Buddha, Nitacha, Ye Buddha, Anavata, Pattukalna, Ye Buddha, Buddha, Visavara. This is Pali chanting, which whether the Buddhists they recite that I bow down to all the Buddhas of the past and all the Buddhas of the future and all the Buddhas of the present. So that means there were many Buddhas of the past whose teachings were also existing in some way or not. Other form. There was a Deepankara Buddha, there was a Kashyap Buddha, there was Rajpand Buddha. They all look same. They all have, in art, they all look same. Only hand gesture differs. So if you see a Buddha like this, he is not Shakyamuni, he is not Gautama Buddha. And mostly the Buddha, if you see a Buddha, this is the teaching posture, but a Buddha with this posture and a vase on this side is a future Buddha, Maitreya Buddha. If a Buddha sitting in this posture, which is called Bhadrasana, this posture, like the leg extended, and he is in this posture, he is not Shakyamuni, he is a Maitreya. He is the future Buddha, although he will be depicted in a very similar way. Similarly, these different Buddhas, some will have like this, that's a different historical I am talking. So there were many Buddhas of the past. So those Buddhas teaching, Maitreya is the future. So Mahayana, as I said, Mahayana is a bigger, as I said, lesser Veda, so it includes all the teachings. It's a very, very vast collection of the sutras, Mahayana teachings. They include Ramayana as well as the teachings of various Buddhas as well, or the teachings which were given at the various places. So what happened in different time period, monks or somebody who heard say some teaching, they came when monastic university like Nalanda got established. So Nalanda housed monks from various places. Earlier they were living only in their own region, but now there is a big place. For example, right now in this university we have monks of different traditions. But the monastery where you came from, for example, you had only your tradition, right? You did not have any other, say Tibetan monks were there? No. In your monasteries, Theravada monks were there? No. So just imagine in 2000 years back, while monks were existing only in their own silos, if university were there, university means universal. University does not discriminate on the basis of caste, creed, religion, language, nationality, gender also. So they did not bar anybody, especially in India. So India had all different types of monks in ancient time. So now monks came from various places and they preserved certain teachings of Buddha, which was not popular. For example, when I am talking about right now, when I came into contact with Vietnamese students, so I got to know they chant a Sanskrit mantra, which no Indian chants, no Indian Buddhist even knows about it. And maybe 1000 years back it went to Vietnam, a great compassion mantra which is called Neelkantha Dharini. When I learned from Vietnamese monks that they chant a particular mantra which they chant in Sanskrit. And I have never, although I thought that I knew this, and even I thought, oh, maybe Tibetans knows, because they preserved most of the Mahayana Sutras, but in Tibetan also that is not there. Tibetan canon, that's Sanskrit mantra, Mahayana Sutra or mantra. Now it is in Sanskrit and in the way it talks about it, it must have gone from India. But it is not surviving in India, present day India, it is coming, we are getting from Vietnam. Similarly, imagine about 2000 years back, Buddha taught some certain things which was not present in some places but present in other places. When universities sort of came. So they compiled all. They started compiling. They started writing books. Writing books means compiling them and giving a proper format. So lots of new sutras came up. New sutra means which were these Shravakya were not aware of. So they preserved certain sutras, but they were not aware of certain other sutras. So they started telling Shravakya that oh, these sutra may be not original teaching of it. Because when I hear, say, Vietnamese Great Compassion Mantra, I can say maybe it's not Indian. Why? Because we are not finding in India. And maybe some great Sanskrit scholar in Vietnam wrote it long time. Who knows? Just like as a skeptic, as a non-believer, I'm asking. Maybe somebody wrote it. Maybe people thought they not teach it. Just I'm not saying, but I'm just imagining. Somebody can raise this question. Is it free to raise this question? So in those days also people questioned that type of thing. So then this type of two groups mainly came up. Sravakyana and Mahayana. So those who believed in the newly discovered teachings of Buddha, they started calling themselves the Mahayana. Maha means bigger. So they said we can accommodate everybody. Our vehicle is a bigger vehicle. Right? You know, it opens the door for all types of sutras. Well, Shravakya became more orthodox. Orthodox means they started saying, no, we will retain only the sutras which we have heard from our elder people, like our teachers. So that becomes two types of main basic division of Shravakya and Mahayana. Making sense? No.
So basically, teaching is on the people how many
Yes, how this is more related to history of the teachings. So how this concrete shape, concrete form. This is how in initial ages. So that way these Mahayana Sutras, they are being compiled at least 500 years after the Buddha, not written. They are being compiled. These are being compiled relatively earlier. But for example, many sutras of even Shravakya were compiled later. For example, Abhidharma teachings, they were not compiled at an early stage, even in this. In Shravakya also. There are texts called Kathavathu, text, Shravakya text, Abhidharma text, Kathavathu. It was not even taught during time period of Buddha. The author was written by Mogli Buddhist during Ashokan time period, but it is still part of Shravakya canon. So not necessarily that all Shravakya texts are way older and Mahayana texts are newer, but majority of Mahayana texts were compiled later and majority of Shravakya texts were compiled earlier. Majority, not all. Majority of so early Buddhist teaching and later Buddhist teaching. So early Buddhism and late. So presently we study in Indian University two types of Buddhism in history or in philosophy. Early Buddhism and later Buddhism. Later Buddhism does not mean here that they are new. New in a sense only they were compiled later. The texts were discovered later. Whenever I use this early Buddhism and later Buddhism. Later does not mean something which is totally new. It has its root in Buddha, but work came into limelight, became popular later. So Buddha also in his teaching he said, it is very clearly said. Sometimes he said that people in my time they are not very mature. So after my passing away of 400-500 years, for example, Lankavatara Sutra says that Buddha said that after my passing away, there will be a bhikshu called Nagarjuna. So he gave this prophecy that after my passing away, Nagarjuna will discover certain sutras. So when Nagarjuna came up, we discovered certain sutra which are called Pragyaparamita Sutra. And when those sutra came up, people started, Sravakena people started saying that maybe this Nagarjuna himself has written it. So they started calling it a fake sutra, not original sutra. So there were this type of major things, major differences they started coming in philosophy. So these Mahayana Sutra, they said they are more philosophical orientation is different from Sravakena. Having said that, it's not that Sravakena is always dualist and Mahayana is always non-dualist. Overall, generally speaking, Sravakena also has many Mahayana elements in that. So that is why Theravada Sutras, which presently exist in Sri Lanka, new research, new people are discovering that many of the Mahayana ideas are there already in the Theravada text. So generally it was not Sravakena means Theravada, Mahayana means Sanskrit or Bali. Now this is breaking this idea. Sravakena does not mean exclusive Pali, or early Buddhist teaching does not exclusive means Pali. Sanskrit also many Sravakena sutras are there. And in many Pali or Prakrit text, Mahayana ideas are there. But generally speaking, again, having said that, generally speaking, Sravakena early is categorized as early and Mahayana is later. Sravakena is generally dualist, Mahayana is non-dualist. And this I said about philosophy. Linguistic wise, Pali and Sanskrit. This also people differentiate. They think Pali means Sravakena or Pali means Theravada and Sanskrit means Mahayana. This is again wrong. This is wrong idea. In Sanskrit, lots of Sravakena sutras were also written. And also Mahayana sutras were also written in Prakrit. We have now from archaeological findings, we have the books. Mahayana sutras which are not in Sanskrit. And many Sravakena sutras which are in Sanskrit. So transmission of Buddhism happened in many ways, philosophical, linguistic. Philosophy wise also it went to many places, language wise it also went to many places, and also school wise, different Buddhist schools, they also went to different. For example, Vietnam we have only Dharma Mukti ka tradition. We will be Dharma Mukti ka, one of the specific way which you follow. In Laos, you follow Theravada. While in Tibet and in Bhutan, you follow the Moon Sarvastivada way. So those are three different separate villages. So it went into different time periods to different places in different manners. And all these three villages fall under Sravakena. So this is also a big confusion. Remember, with this I will give a break. Remember, there is no separate Mahayana Vinaya, or there is no separate monastic tradition for Mahayana or monastic traditions, whether in Bhutan or in Vietnam or in China. Even Bhutan, Tibet, China, they follow Mahayana tradition. Their monastic tradition is Sravakena. Or even the great masters of Mahayana such as Nagarjuna, they were also ordained, they became monk under Sravakena Vinaya. So, Mahayana is more about philosophy, not related to monastic traditions. But Mahayana is more about philosophy, means non-dualist philosophy. Clear? And Mahayana is also about your individual aspiration, what you want to become. If you want to become Arhat, if you want to have only Nirvana, you are a Sravakena person. Whether you are born in Tibet or you are born in Vietnam, doesn't matter. If you want your individual liberation, your individual liberation first, you are a Sravakena person. And even if you are born in Laos or Sri Lanka and you follow Theravada or Sravakena, later. But if you want to become Samyak Samru, you want to become fully enlightened, you are a Mahayana. Clear? So if you want to become Buddha, full enlightened, you are a Mahayana. If you want to become individual enlightened, you are a Sravakayana. So from here, in your mind, it should be clear, Sravakayana and Mahayana, they are more related to philosophy, means non-dualism, dualism, and your aspiration, what you want to become. Buddha, so you are a Mahayana. Arhat, you are a Sravakayana. Clear? Okay, let's have a break for 5 minutes.